Imagine waking up at 3 in the morning to the sound of a low, raspy breath coming from the plastic speaker on your nightstand. You check the monitor, but the crib is empty because your child is at their grandmother's for the weekend. This isn't a glitch, and it isn't interference from a neighbor's walkie-talkie. This is the reality of paranormal audio surveillance, a phenomenon where the dead don't just appear in shadows, but inhabit the very frequencies we use to keep our families safe. It started for one family in a quiet suburb of Ohio. They had just installed a top-of-the-line digital monitor, the kind with crystal-clear audio and night vision. For the first week, it was perfect, but then the static started. It wasn't the usual white noise. It sounded like rhythmic tapping, almost like Morse code. The father, an amateur radio enthusiast, decided to record the audio and run it through a frequency analyzer. What he found chilled him to the bone. Beneath the layer of household noise, there was a voice, not a human voice, but a layered, electronic-sounding growl that repeated the same three words, "I am here." He thought it was a prank, maybe a hacker who had found their way onto their Wi-Fi network. He changed the passwords, encrypted the signal, and even replaced the hardware. But the whispers didn't stop. In fact, they got louder. One night, while his wife was sleeping, he heard the monitor crackle to life. He looked at the screen and saw nothing but his sleeping son. But the audio? The audio was picking up a conversation between two distinct entities. One voice was high-pitched and frantic, while the other was slow and deliberate. They were discussing the layout of the house. They were talking about the locks on the doors. They were talking about him. He rushed into the nursery, heart pounding, but the room was silent. The only sound was the soft breathing of his child. When he checked the recording later, he heard himself enter the room, but he also heard something else. A third voice, right next to his ear, whispering closer just as he reached the crib. This is what experts call electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, but on a terrifyingly consistent scale. Some believe that the digital signals we use for surveillance act as a bridge, a thin veil that allows entities from another dimension to manipulate sound waves and communicate. The scariest part isn't that they can talk to us, it's that they are always listening. They hear your conversations, they know your routines, and they wait for the moment you're most vulnerable. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Across the country, thousands of people are reporting similar experiences with smart speakers, security cameras, and even their phones. These devices are designed to be always on, which means they are always recording the ambient energy of our homes. Paranormal investigators suggest that spirits find it easier to manipulate digital data than physical matter. It's less energy for them to pulse a signal into a microphone than it is to throw a chair across a room. This is why we hear them more often than we see them. The father in Ohio eventually decided to leave a high-sensitivity microphone running in the basement, the one part of the house everyone avoided. When he played it back the next morning, he didn't hear ghosts. He heard the sound of a party, dozens of voices laughing, clinking glasses, and music that sounded like it was from the 1920s. But it was distorted, slowed down to a crawl, making the laughter sound like screams. As he listened, the party suddenly went silent. A single voice spoke clearly into the mic. He's listening to the tape now. He moved his family out the next day. They left most of their furniture behind, but he kept the recordings. He says that if you listen closely to the silence between the words on those tapes, you can hear a heartbeat, one that doesn't belong to anyone in this world. Audio surveillance was meant to give us peace of mind, to let us see into the dark and know we are safe. Instead, it opened a door that can't be closed. If you've ever heard a strange click on your phone line or a voice in the static of your TV, don't ignore it. It might not be a technical difficulty. It might be someone or something trying to tell you that you aren't as alone as you think you are. These frequencies are more crowded than we realize, and sometimes the things on the other side are just waiting for a way to be heard. Have you ever caught something unexplainable on a recording? A voice that shouldn't be there or a sound that defies logic? Tell me your story in the comments, and if you want to hear more true tales of the unexplained that will keep you up at night, make sure to hit that follow button and like this video. Stay safe, keep your ears open, and never ever answer the whispers in the dark.